Hi folks, a fairly simple topic I want to mention, and that is that if someone is using a short weapon, like for example this chara, or also known as a kaiba knife, against someone with a longer weapon, they are generally at a disadvantage. Okay, and it's simply a matter of reach. Now, yes, there are things that the person who's using the shorter weapon can do to make the most of the advantages that they have available to them. Okay? However, they are, generally speaking, going to be at a disadvantage against someone who's using something like this, for example, okay, a full-length one-handed sword, or obviously if it's another type of sword with an equally longer blade, or a spear or such like. Short weapons are at a disadvantage, and some people come back with the sort of counter-argument that, but the shorter weapon is quicker. Okay, is it quicker? Well, I've spoken about this in previous videos. No, it's not quicker. If I'm already standing face to face with someone, then the short weapon at that distance might be quicker. Okay, so in some kind of skirmish or battle situations, if you're fighting multiple opponents and you find yourself in a melee where your opponent's very, very close, yes, in that situation it might be a quicker weapon if you're already essentially next to the person you're fighting. However, in most situations that doesn't happen, because the person you're going to fight is going to be at least one or usually several steps away from you. So in order for you to hit them, you have to make a movement of your foot. You have to travel towards them, okay? And very simply, the shorter your weapon is, the more distance you have to cover to be able to hit them, okay? So if someone is using one of these against someone who's using one of these, the person using this has to take more steps to hit their opponent than the person using this. I can hit someone with a normal one-handed sword from, without a foot movement, from about 3 to 4 feet, perhaps even 5 feet on a lunge away. Whereas I can only hit someone with a weapon of this length. Look at the difference in length, so there's about a foot difference in length. So therefore I need to take an extra foot, in fact it's more than a foot, it's about 18 inches. I need to take about an extra foot or foot and a half's movement towards them before I can hit them. And that movement takes quite a lot of time. The speed of your weapon, the ability to do this kind of thing, attack with slashes or thrusts, okay, is much quicker than the speed to cover distance. In your body, your hands and your ability to move your arms, okay, and even to dodge your body is much, much quicker than it is to move your feet and cover distance backwards and forwards, okay? I mean, obviously that's relative. If I only move my foot 1 inch, that's quicker than moving my arm, 30 inches. However, to move my hand and weapon 30 inches is far quicker than to move my feet 30 inches, okay? The feet are carrying your weight and they're relatively slow moving compared to your weapon and your arms. So therefore the person with the shorter weapon is generally fighting at a big disadvantage because of reach, because of distance, okay? And so I know that in a lot of games that have tried to simulate combat, whether they're computer games or role-playing games or whatever, there is this idea that the short weapon is quicker, somehow maybe we'll get more attacks or we'll move quicker than the longer weapon. Well, first of all, that's not really true, because this is a lever, okay, and actually the speed comes from the back end here, and the speed I can do this with a kaiba knife is almost the same speed that I can do this with a one-handed sword, okay? The difference actually is the range that I can reach with the blade, okay? So I can reach my opponent sooner with the longer blade than I can with the short blade. So for that reason, in essence, the shorter the weapon is, in essence, the slower it is, because the more distance I have to cover to hit the person back. And if we think about a situation where I'm using a short weapon against a person with a longer weapon, if I want to hit them successfully, I have to close within their distance where they can hit me, Okay, so I'm fighting at a distance where, say they cut me with the long sword, I might parry the thing. Doesn't really matter how I do it, but I might parry the thing, but I can't hit them back from that distance because I'm too far away. So I have to parry them and then close in to hit as well. During which time they'll presumably be moving backwards or offline or away, or just preparing their own parry to parry my attack. Okay, so often, when you're using a short weapon and you're using it against someone with a longer weapon, it is about defending yourself whilst either closing distance, and very often closing and trying to grab or push their weapon out of the way, or grab their weapon and do something to enable you to close that distance such that when you get in distance you can offend them a few times in your comfortable range. But it's hard to do that. Yes, you can move the weapon around quickly, but you've got less blade to parry with, and you've got a huge reach advantage in every way. Okay, so in essence, my point is, short weapons, whilst you might like them, and whilst they might have advantages such as ease of carrying, or the fact that you can use them really up close. If you happen to end up close, you can use them from lots of angles you can't use a long weapon necessarily. These are advantages of them. Generally speaking, they have a disadvantage against someone with a longer but similar type of weapon, so a longer sword or a longer axe or mace or whatever. Okay, cheers!